So let's go into, well, that's perfect segue. Come on, how does he do it every single time? The reigning world champions are the Dallas Empire. And right now, we go to the World Championship and they're not looking good, right? Like, I mean, this week again was pretty woeful. A lot of people are saying, like, they're still trash. What do you do? They beat London. I mean, they beat London in such a ridiculous fashion. Like that game four, that Hardpoint. I don't know if you got the chance to watch it, Lion. It was nearly one of probably the biggest comeback of the season, to be honest, on Garrison Hardpoint.
Yeah.
Like Dallas are up 246 to like 160. London played it pretty perfect, to be fair. And then London did the classic London where they do all the hard work, get to the very final line, and then ILLey pops a two-piece, which you should never get in a million years. London over challenging, and then they get broken the last second. Clutch from Dallas, but I mean, I don't know. They should have probably lost the series then and there, and that would have been a dagger. And then they play Ultra. And yes, Ultra did. They kind of did what FaZe did earlier in the season when you guys first lost to LAG, and then you came out and played London later in the week or the next week, and you just like came up with the fire, like, all right, lads, no more messing around. We're just going to body these guys, and that's what they did, right? But you don't expect really Dallas to be able to get destroyed like this. Like, I mean, Vivid and Shotzzy. We talked about the fact that okay, that SMG duo in theory, Austin, should be pretty damn good. But yet you get less production out of Shotzzy. Vivid statistically was woeful. They got completely destroyed. And it's like, CleanX is 2.2 KD in the control. They can't win a control to save their life, which doesn't make any sense. Their search and destroy is fallen off a cliff. And Hardpoint, they get bodied by all the top teams. So it's like, Dallas Empire, I don't know, man. I've seen some honeymoon periods this season. Dallas haven't got one, and we see the guys on Thieves talking about the fact that they just brought in Huke, and they knew within a couple of days that this team wasn't going to work. You tend to know pretty early on that teams aren't going to work, and well, it doesn't seem to me that this team is working, Austin.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because Vivid, I think he's really talented. I thought for sure he was going to be able to slot in here and then play pretty well next to Shotzzy. But actually, he has the league worst for stage 4 overall KD with a 0.63, Slayer rating with a 59, and adjusted KD with a 0.64. So he's been woeful in like literally every mode. He has a 0.67 in hardpoint, a 0.7 in S&D, and a 0.52 in control. And that's over 2 series too. That's not just one. So I don't know. I can't really think that he's going to be that bad again in week 2 and 3. If he can turn it around, then Shotzzy, I mean, how many weeks has he ever put up a 0.88? We just haven't seen it a lot since he started last season. And then since then, he's been good. So there is some to build on. Like Crim had a good week. Finished with a 1.05. He had an 89 Slayer rating. He had a 1.47 in S&D. Like, he was pretty well. ILLey, still not crazy, but still like he did okay. So there is some you can build off of. I think I don't know. It's just like when is it going to click? Because I think you're starting to get late into the season now, where it's like you kind of want to start picking up form within the next like 4 weeks, and it's got to click. It's got to click pretty fast for them.
Yeah. Vivid kind of reminds me. His play style reminds me a lot of Dylan, where it's kind of like just hit the hill, play for damage. He even used to message me about like how he's a damage dealer and stuff. And I'm like, and I thought that would be.
I love that.
I thought like that would be the perfect fit for this team, because they needed someone that could just hit the hill and like be an entry player, and give Shotzzy the ability to roam around and get kills. But it seems like his introduction has actually made the team a lot worse, and I don't really know how. It might be just, the opposite of a honeymoon period where they just suck for the first 2 weeks, but that doesn't seem very logical. They need to find something, and if there was a player that could do it, it would be Crim to rally these guys. But I really don't feel like that fit just from the first week of watching is going to work very well. I don't know what you think about it, Rob, with Vivid.
Yeah, I just think it's just kind of concerning, right? Because I'm a big fan of Crimsix and his achievements throughout his career, and like, I don't know, I'm somewhat concerned that if it continues like this, he may be tarnishing his legacy to some degree, right? Like, he comes off last year after having a dominant career, from Complexity to Evil Geniuses to the OpTic Dynasty to Dallas Empire last year winning the World Championship again, to now having a team that without Clayster has become pretty woeful, and we're talking about the fact that we don't really know who's the 5th best team in the game, and we're even talking about Mutineers, right, potentially leapfrogging them. And if they keep playing like this, we've got to say they won a series, right? They won a series. They're still in with a shout. It's not the end of the world, but they don't have the easiest run. They play Gorillas, which is always a banana peel, banana skin type team. They play Subliners on Sunday. That's not easy, and whoever they play isn't going to be easy either. So look, it's just not looking great for them, right? And I do wonder like what Crimsix's perspective is on this, because he hates losing, he loves winning, and he has some incredible record where like 50% almost of every tournament he's ever attended, he's won. And that's slipping away quickly. And that's, of course, going to in the era that we now arrive into with FaZe and how incredibly competitive the league is. But like, I'm somewhat concerned for what he's thinking about this team. Because now it's kind of the sole leader there. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, Austin, but like his legacy is so great, and he's done something incredible every single year he's competed. And this year, it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. And I wonder how he's taking that, like personally.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like every great player always has like an off year. Obviously, World War II was that OpTic Dynasty's off year. I just think Crim. Yeah, like this was the year where, yeah, this is like a team that you were expecting to be like number 2 at the beginning of the year. So they're kind of slipping. They're literally 55-55 in map wins and losses. So they're literally middle of the pack, even though they are the 3rd seed. So I think honestly, you just got to survive this year. I think a top 4 placement at champs, you're considering that a W, unless this team kind of like turns around a lot. Obviously, you don't want to have many like tournament losses, but I think like when you look at this team, I don't think he's the issue. I haven't thought that all year. So he obviously has a lot left in the tank. I just think you kind of have to make it through this year and rebuild next year with rebuild, retool, and then give it another go. I mean, I don't think he's doing too much tarnishing.
You're muted, Lion, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the one thing about COD, though, is that you can have a bad year and then have a completely new game and then just suddenly be a top team. So I don't know if they go into the next year and completely rebuild or if they keep certain pieces. They seem to love ILLey, even when he's performing pretty average. Shotzzy was obviously last year's MVP, so you got to keep him. So those core 3,
that's
I think
the thing,
we have
right?
to... those core 3 might find a new one and then just be back at the top again next year. So we don't really know.
Bring back Huke, baby.
That's far out. I don't think
God.
That's happening anytime
That's
soon.
not happening. It's not happening.
Can I touch on the Huke slander? Because that has been crazy on the timeline. Like, everyone is now saying that Huke can't play with a team and that he's just super selfish and plays for kills. And it's like, it kind of makes sense because his whole career has kind of been bad placements up until Dallas. But it's like now his stock went from being best player in the game at the start of the year to now like not even worthy of a spot on a team because of 2 teams in a row trash talking him. But they had their own issues prior, and then they just scapegoated it on him. And it's weird. And now Dallas is worse, and LA we don't really even know. So poor Huke.
Play devil's advocate though. Like we knew even since the beginning of the year, like Huke is always like super ultra aggressive, and he's like one of those players that gives openings on the map. Like if you were able to pick him off on the outskirts, and it's a 3v4. So there was issues with like him in the team environment, and like if you're gonna have him on the team, I think you have to like play around him a little bit and let him off the reins, which is what Dallas did in the first stage. But it is pretty crazy how it went from he got dropped from Dallas, everyone was hating on Dallas. Now he got dropped off at LA, and like everyone's hating on him. So it's like a roller coaster of emotions the last stage for him.
Yeah. Do you think it's possible that he fit better in 5v5 COD because he didn't need to play so fundamentally sound?
100%. Because like this game, I mean, I'll say it again. World War II in this game, like it's the punishment that you get from making incorrect plays is the same. Like last year, especially with squad spawns, you could like literally just continuously make mistake, and just get saved off of having that squad spawn or having 4 other people behind you. So that was something that was like a little bit concerning. Is you have all these aggressive players, like even Crimsix is an aggressive AR, ILLey is an extremely aggressive flex, Shotzzy is more of like that passive player, but Huke was extremely aggressive. So when they were firing all cylinders, like Huke was obviously one of the best players in stage 1. But you saw when they kind of got to the major, they kind of had trouble with fundamentally correct teams who could take advantage of their mistakes. And I kind of think that's just kind of what Huke's. I don't know. Like, he's so individually talented that you have to have the correct system around you. And one system, it doesn't fit all. Like, so I just think that he needs to be on a team where they develop the system around him, kind of let him play free, and where the other players play more like New York, for instance, where the way they play hardpoint is like Mac, Asum, and Clay are so like tight. They communicate very well, and they kind of let Hydra do his own thing because like they just let that core three be the main communicators. They let them play fundamentally correct, and just let him do whatever he wants on the map. That's what he needs, I think, to really succeed in 4v4, like in this type of punishing COD, I guess.
I agree.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. It's just tough to see where that comes from right there, right? Because you look at Los Angeles Thieves and you see those guys are saying,